You'll go to the fucking moon, Rory. I remember a cocktail once, vodka and branched chain amino acids. It'll send you right to the fucking moon. Well, we're back here on the Skimbo Lounge. And quick shout out to friend of the pod, Libby. Just wanted to let you know, nice work on the house. I intend to take it from you by the time this is all done. So thank you for getting my palatial estate ready for me. And I, of course, am Alex.
And I am Rory, as always. I've seen those pictures. That house looks awesome.
Hashtag sweat equity. They're DIYing the fuck out of that place.
Is there any way you can combine sweat and equity without making it sound too dirty? Try it. I dare you.
Swequity. Ew.
Ugh, it's those times I sit there and go, I should have gotten myself a little cabin in the woods, but it probably would have turned out like Cabin in the Woods in my, in my right. So maybe it's for the best, There
are
monsters.
Inbred zombies under the floor. Is that your primary concern?
Yeah. It would have just been that guy, that old gentleman being like, all right, he's here. Cracky. Let's unleash the zombies. And I just, scene one is just me going, fuck it, I've had a good run. Take me. And,
God damn it.
And
just
that's
an
it.
Arrow through the eye.
Yeah. Whack. Well, that was anticlimactic. He didn't even have a girl out there. And then everyone has a good laugh because they've been following me for a while. No, of course not.
Save the Hemsworth. So, Rory, I got, first of all, wait a minute. What am I doing? What am I doing here? I'm hopping right into the giggly jump right off here, and I want to ask you, how are you doing?
I think about as well as anyone can be during the current circumstances, while also being completely isolated and alone in New York City, with no friends and no family within miles and miles from me. So great, I'm doing great.
Have you hit the point yet where you've made your Wilson? You know what I'm talking about? Wilson from Castaway, the ball.
Do sex objects count?
They 100% count.
Then
if
no.
you don't think Tom Hanks wasn't having sex with that volleyball, his name, speaking of Epstein, is on that manifest. So don't tell me that guy didn't fuck a volleyball.
That's fair. I mean, if that guy ever did exist, he fucked the shit out of that water or that volleyball. Notice that it was deflated.
A little bit.
I think there's a reason for that. Wilson, I'm sorry, Wilson. Carves into the back of it with an extra sharp shard of coconut.
Some guy filled a volleyball with his cum and sent it out to sea. I don't understand.
What did we find here? Oh, gross.
Oh.
I'd like to think that that character tried fucking a coconut first, but the coconut milk burned his penis or something.
Yeah.
And so he moved on to Wilson. But that's just for me. That's just my own thoughts.
Yeah.
Having said that, yeah, no, I could be doing better, I guess.
Okay.
It's a weird landscape out here in New York City, where because of such a high population, it's just there's always people out all the time. So you'd think that no one was doing anything about it except for putting a nice thin piece of cloth over their face, like that's going to save them. Spoiler, it's not. This is a red zone. I keep seeing police out is the thing that's very interesting. And they always sort of seem to look at me like I'm doing something wrong. So that's fun. They've got these, they've got the squad cars here with the LEDs on it. So they all say 6 feet apart on them. And then you see the two cops are like shoulder to shoulder. So that's, that's inspiring stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're probably getting all the good tests, Mm-hmm. You can count on them to.
Well, you don't.
Although no, apparently not. The NYPD got decimated by COVID.
Well, because you got to figure it's probably a pretty high transmission rate when you're out billy clubbing black people.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
They tend to scream when you do it, so the droplets,
take
reach
that,
the air.
New York Police Department, you're racist. I wouldn't say that if they didn't protect themselves with those goddamn unions. Which I think is the most counterintuitive thing I've ever heard, police unions. Let's not get into that. Let's not get into that.
Oh, Jesus. Let's stick to what we do best. Race baiting and half-baked satire.
Great. That's what I want to be known for in the end of the day.
Gaslighting and dog whistles. That's what we do.
Is everyone following along so far? We asked somebody about their rural house, and now we're talking about racist cops. You see how we got from one to the other? I don't either.
We don't. The trick is not to make the leap in one fell swoop. No. You want to do it like little stones across the river. You want to get to institutionalized racism. You got to start with good housekeeping.
Yeah, it's incremental, bit by bit. See, guys, this is how Game of Thrones went from being one of the best shows ever to a pile of shit, little by little.
Listen, off the top of my head right now, Rory, I'll put this to you. Mm-hmm. I know we talked about doing Star Wars pod, and we can and we should. But I think if we were to do a big-ass deconstruction of the rise and fall of Game of Thrones, I think we're the two men to execute that.
Well, how would you want to do it? Do you want to do it episode by episode or season by season? Because if we did episode by episode, we could do like a little chunk. I mean, like a nice 10-minute breakdown of every episode from here on. But that'll take us quite a while.
That'll take a long-ass time. And quite frankly, I don't know if I'm emotionally ready, you know? Every time I try to go back and watch How I Met Your Mother or Game of Thrones, I can't. The joy is gone.
I'll be honest.
I know what's coming.
I have a lot harder time going back and watching How I Met Your Mother than I do going back and watching Game of Thrones. I actually watched it a couple. I've gotten that bored during this quarantine that I've actually watched the first. I watched up to, if you haven't watched Game of Thrones, spoiler alert, everybody. I watched up to the point where Viserys gets the gold poured over his head by Khal Drogo. That's about where I'm at. And again, the first episodes, the first couple seasons really do still hold up. It's really good television. It's really good story writing. It's really interesting. It's really compelling. Sean Bean, he's fantastic. Hope nothing happens to him. Hope he continues on the show. What a great actor.
We're praying for you, Sean.
Oh God. But How I Met Your Mother, I cannot go back and watch for some reason. I think it just has to do with the way, let me put it this way. Game of Thrones, you kind of knew where it was going the whole time. And then in those that last season and a half, 2 seasons, they really just phoned in the character development. Whereas with How I Met Your Mother, they took the whole theme of the show and they just kind of said, yeah, but no, it wasn't ever really about that. It was actually, and again, if you haven't watched How I Met Your Mother either, spoilers here. I hope you understand that. But
it's been what? It went off the air in 2013 or
it's been 14, a long time
because we were watching it in Boston. Yeah,
it's been a while. And that whole show, as far as I see it, was about Ted Mosby being sort of this everyman for finding the person you love in the world and all the trials and tribulations that you go through in order to find that person, all the wrong relationships to get to the right one. And then in the end, in the last 40 minutes, they go, just kidding. It's actually about me wanting to date your, quote, Aunt Robin. And you're like,
piece of shit.
You don't spend, 4 seasons explaining why Ted and Aunt Robin aren't supposed to be together? Really cumulatively.
I would go ahead and argue cumulatively the entire series they spend demonstrating why Ted and Robin shouldn't be together.
At a certain point, they really get, well, of course, but at a certain point, they get to the point where you think Ted understands it, and that's just a friendship that he develops, a really powerful friendship. When there's the episode where he's digging some shit out of Central Park
yes,
and it's he's going to all these lengths to get this for her because she needs it as a sign that she's doing the right thing by getting married to Barney. Spoiler, she wasn't. And so again, it's these stupid, painful misdirects where, the Barney Stinson character played by Neil Patrick Harris is really pigeonholed in the most undynamic way through the entire series. And then in certain times, they sort of give him a glimmer of character development, only for them to rip it away and then hand him a child at the end and go, that's what he needed. He needed a kid this whole time to ground him. And I say, fuck you, lazy writers. Fuck you. Because everybody knows... Yeah, go ahead.
They're just telling you that. You don't get to see the fallout like you do with Marshall and Lily and their kids, Ted and the mother and their kids, Robin and her fucking job. You don't get any of the follow-through on Barney as a dad, but they just tell you that he was amazing at it.
Yep.
It's like they thought of it in post and were like, we better go ADR that line.
Really. It really, the whole last season of the show screams, we thought this up in season 2 and it was clever. Because that's what happened. The big underlying thing that happened, I guess, was somewhere at the beginning or middle of season 2, the show's creators realized, oh shit, if we don't film everything with the kids right now, by the time the show ends, it's going to seem like this whole conversation is taken through their entire puberty. So we need to go ahead and film all of the reactions now. And then, that way they always stay the same age. And I got to tell you guys, if you're writers and you're creators out there, that's the dumbest workaround I've ever heard. Just make it so that at a certain point you realize that the stories he's telling to his kids is happening over time. Right? Kids, how about this story of the thing? Dad, we're late for prom. And then it's just, just do it that way.
Dad, I'm getting married in a minute. You have to fucking shut up for a second.
Yeah, finish the fucking story, Dad. That would have been way more interesting to me personally. I don't understand why they had that hard line set where they're like, no. This is all taking place in like 1 or 2 sittings when the kids are young.
But what would have somehow been way less lazy of them than what they did?
What's that?
Is if you just film a bunch of reaction shots from the kids, no dialogue, and anytime they speak to Bob Saget, first of all, it's weird to hear Bob Saget's voice and then Mosby because they don't sound the same.
End. Yeah, it's awful. It's awful.
But anyway, anytime the camera's on adult Ted, that's when you can get lines from the kids. So you're seeing his reaction as they say, well, Dad, I don't understand why you guys didn't just all murder Donald Trump in the streets and like drag him out to the guillotine and stick a carrot up his ass.
Hit him with a billy club.
Well, kids, that's a story for another time. I'll be Norm Macdonald next time because Bob Saget didn't agree to come back for a 10th season. But
and as a show that sort of like is in some ways sort of sitcom-y,
it is a sitcom, yeah.
Yeah. It really spoke to the laziness of them trying to shoehorn that shit in at the end. It's like, for all the creative, liberties that the show takes to be like, oh, we're having sandwiches. And again, Bob Saget is Ted Mosby's voice. I would have laughed my literal dick off if at the end they turn and it's Bob Saget there and they go, for some reason when you were telling the story, I had a different vision of what you looked like in my head. Yeah, go figure, kids. I can't help that. Or like anything.
Freud says you were just seeing the person you want to fuck. So I don't know.
Anything. It would have been funny. Just like you're doing this shit and you think you're so clever, and then Ted comes out at the end and it's a different voice, and you don't address it and you don't do anything with it.
Yeah.
It's lazy shit ass writing. It's lazy, shitty. Everybody wanted to see him have a happy ending. It's supposed to be.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's for you guys to shoehorn in this sort of like last minute, like, oh, but this is about real life, sort of like ignored all of like the, oh, well, look, the doppelgangers and robots versus wrestling. And, Ted sneaks into a party full of New Yorker douchebags and all these little kind of fun, intricate things that make the story so entertaining. Oh, look, Marshall had these graphs that he needed, and he had to bribe a homeless guy with $1 a day to get him back. And, they're out looking for the best burger in New York and all this crazy shit that's sort of grounded, but in a lot of ways, definitely not. Look, there's William Shatner. And you're like, or who was it? Regis Philbin showed up and all these other random things. And they have dance montages and musical numbers and crazy fucking things that happen. And then they end it by being like, but this is the real world, kids. And in the real world, you're going to fall in love with someone and she's going to die of the cancer or whatever she got. Like, come on. Fuck you guys. Don't go against the theme of the story the whole time and then right at the end sit there and go, really? It was about me trying to convince the kids that it's okay for me to fuck Robin.
Right. This woman, they've grown up as a influential female figure in their lives, and I'm going to confuse the hell out of them because every story I told was about how great the sex was. I spared no detail. I told my kids what her pubic hair looked like when she had it.
Our inflection, not theirs, but you get the point, I hope.
My whole thing is they painted themselves into a corner unnecessarily, and it's not lost on me what we're doing right now. We're two guys who do creative shit and want to like be in television, want to be in film. We want to make stuff and not have people question our every move. So it's not lost on me that we're bitching about someone else's artistic choices. But here's the thing. They have to make sense. Themselves. It has to make sense. They painted themselves into a corner and they promised us something. and they didn't leave themselves an opportunity to change with the story as it went along. When you're locked into this ending, you suddenly make the characters do shit they would never do, and it all culminated with Ted Mosby being like, "Sorry, your mom died." And the worst part is the dialogue from the fucking teenage daughter. She literally is like, "You totally have a crush on Aunt Robin. You've been talking about it for like 7 years. You should totally go for it, Dad. But this is the real world." Fuck off.
Yeah. That whole thing was just set up to be like, here you are, audience of baby birds. Let's spoon feed you. Open your mouths. Yeah. Open your mouths up. Nom nom nom.
Eat the corporate slop, you little pigs.
As I vomit this nonsense back in your mouth, and to tie it back to Benioff and Weiss, the main creative whatever on the Game of Thrones series, they took the exact different route and still fucked it up. And that was in the sense, and I think that's why we're so upset by it, is that you watch people with all of the creative freedom in the world handed multi-million-dollar budgets, and then you watch them go, yeah, but we're kind of tired of telling this story, so we're just going to phone it in at the end because we want to go work on Star Wars, which they got taken away from them because fuck those guys. But it's the idea that, they have this amazing opportunity and they do so well at crafting the story up into a point, and then they just phone it in. And I don't understand why. Is it really that much more difficult to just finish it the way that it should have been finished?
Look at the fucking Sopranos. That production schedule grew with every season and every episode to the point where season 6 got split up over like almost 2 years, and it's one season, but it came out like with a crazy amount of time in between because it took like 90 days to shoot an episode, like something ridiculous like that. Yeah. Like they took their fucking time and let it be what it needed to be, and the ending pissed everybody off, but it was the right fucking call. The whole thing is they nailed it.
Hot take. I like the ending.
It might be the best show. I like it too.
What's your take on for a lot of people who still have yet to watch The Sopranos? Again, we're gonna dive in, I think, just real quick here to the last scene of The Sopranos.
Oh man, this one I might not.
That's what everybody hated.
It was fairly ubiquitous in pop culture, so I feel like a lot of people do know. But I'm thinking like, I love you, Derek and Nikki. Like if they ever want to watch it and haven't, I don't want to like ruin the ending for them,
Okay, well, so we'll cut. They're gonna have to just not. I mean, I don't think it's ruining anything. Look how long the show's been going on. If you really wanted to watch The Sopranos, maybe you would have. Yeah. It's not like we're gonna spoil the last episode of Rick and Morty. Pretty mediocre, but
yeah, wildly.
It's not like we're gonna spoil something that just happened or some movie that just came out, or
Are you trying to seduce me to the dark side right now?
Usually.
Make me do a spoiler on these people?
We're not. I mean, we're not just saying these things. We're not being like, Vader is Luke's father. Oops. Like
Snape killed Dumbledore.
Yeah. Someone out there got pissed when you said that just now.
Yeah, dude. What? It's Emily Machado, #1 Harry Potter superfan. Wait, I didn't get that far.
She's just sitting there flicking through the book. Shit, he's right.
Son of a bitch.
Oh, the magic was love. Oh, what the fuck?
Patronus was a doe. It's pretty straightforward. Snape was a good guy.
Oh, I'm so mad. I've got to write some letters. Dear Skimbo fucks.
Where do you get off?
We don't have to spoil The Sopranos if you think there's people out there, I think that was the way to do it right, though.
I have such reverence for that show. I think everyone should watch it. Honestly, watching through it again, I think I've reversed course. I used to say Breaking Bad, but I think I go back to The Sopranos now. I think it's like a perfect television show, and it might be the best one ever.
I thought it was pretty damn good, yeah. I would say between the two, I move between that and Breaking Bad's pretty fucking fantastic.
I mean, I remember watching the Breaking Bad finale with you in Boston, being like, what the fuck? We won't spoil that one.
No, that's fantastic. I guess
we avoid the question if I can double back to a How I Met Your Mother question for you.
Yeah, shoot.
So my whole thing, why I like this show, because I will turn my nose up at something like The Big Bang Theory. I think that's lowest common denominator, low-hanging fruit bullshit TV.
Yeah, I agree.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I would. I've watched all of maybe, I would say cumulative half hour of The Big Bang Theory, because every time every time I've turned it on, I've let like 2-3 jokes go, and I do one of those like, nope, and I'm done. I just can't. My favorite part of watching The Big Bang Theory was I found a guy who did the edits online to show just how creepy the whole show is without the laugh track. And if you haven't done that for yourself and you like The Big Bang Theory, prepare to have it ruined for you, because you just sit there. It's just like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm talking about mimesis and the mimesis of you and your friends. Oh, that's interesting. And like, there's just these long, awkward pauses that happen in the discussion where you're like, that's really uncomfortable, because they're just waiting for the laughs to die so they can say the next line. And,
it is. It's all set up and punchline, set up and punchline, set up and punchline.
Oh, cringy.
Which is kind of what How I Met Your Mother in its baser instincts would do, where it would be like, okay, we've got Robin and Barney at
you're right.
the MoMA. They're at the Museum of Modern Art or wherever they are. And they're at some gala, and Ted is off doing a plot line. I don't know what the fuck Marshall and Lily are doing.
The relationship is either going great or it's going terrible.
Yeah, they're being adorable in a corner.
Yeah.
You know how it is. Big guy, little girl, recipe for magic.
Beautiful stuff.
Barney and Robin are like farting around with displays. They're dressing up like the Pharaoh. They're touching the taxidermy moose, et cetera, et cetera. And that whole thing had a payoff, which is why I like the show. It's the two of them. Like, Barney insinuated he was a legend at the museum because he was the kid that knocked the blue whale down. He took a T-Rex bone and threw it like a boomerang, and the whale came down. And Robin rightfully goes, "You're full of shit," because most of this, I wouldn't believe you if your tongue were notarized. Mm-hmm. And they get into this pissing contest about who's the more edgy, bad guest at the museum. And then they eventually get taken into the security guard's office, and they're going through the records. And that's all a pretense to set up Barney realizing the guy he thought was his uncle was his dad. Uncle Jerry was his biological dad.
Yeah.
So
and that's where you get the real moment.
Did that. Yeah, and that's where you get the shit that makes you go, God damn, all right, I'll see you next week. Mm-hmm. But the biggest sell for me overall was exactly what you talked about when we got started, which is Ted Mosby. You're promised. It's the story of this guy who's a little douchey, but ultimately lovable. And it's him realizing that about himself and trying to let go of the things that are keeping him from finding love, because he wants love so fucking bad. And you can relate to that. And I just hit my mic, and you watch the guy going around having to date all these women, kiss a lot of frogs to find happiness, which is what you hope happens to you.
Well, that's why you relate it back to yourself. Yeah.
You project a lot onto the show, and
Sure.
they do some funny, memorable stuff that endears it to you. And then they bend over and drop trowel and take a big old shit on your face.
Yeah, what was the
question?
question?
Am I wrong, dude?
Oh, no,
the
you're not
question
wrong.
was,
am I wrong?
am I wrong, dude? Am I wrong?
It's a nice rug. I think, I think
my
the thing to
question
take home
was,
is,
what drew you to the show? That's what I was getting at. What was it about a normally, otherwise lame, fucking stupid show that kept you coming back until the end?
Well, for me, I just like to consume content, to be honest. I like to no. I mean, that's what it started as. It was another show. It's the same thing that drew me to Community back in the day. Was this show that I looked and said, okay, well, there's a lot to it, because I didn't start watching How I Met Your Mother from the beginning. I probably joined in at like season 3 or 4, and was like, okay, well, I guess I should probably watch this from the beginning. And it was one of those things where when I sat there and realized, like, okay, well, unlike a lot of sitcoms, you kind of need some context for some of this stuff. And so that's what brought me back to the beginning. And I started to dive into it, but it's very much, the archetypes are interesting. There's something for everybody there. Again, you're not supposed to be Ted Mosby to relate to Ted Mosby. The everyman character that he sort of portrays is in that sense, he's a flawed character because he's kind of a douchebag. You don't have to be the same kind of douchebag to be able to recognize that everybody has their own flaws, and in that sense, you relate to him. Mm-hmm. You've got the Marshall and Lily dynamic, which appeals to any stupid couple out there that goes, "Oh, we're just like these people. Look at me. We're Jim and Pam." Shut the fuck up. No, you're not.
Shots fired to the fucking shipdom.
You sons of bitches. You don't want to be Jim and Pam anyway. They could have rewrote that shit with Jim and Pam cheating on one another and breaking up in the end. That was a draft. They wrote that shit, and then they changed it because of all of you assholes who wanted to see something different. You changed the whole trajectory of The Office. I just want all of you to know. Moving on. If you're going to say anything, why not be Leslie Knope and what's his name?
Ben Wyatt.
And Ben Wyatt. Such a better dynamic. Come on, guys. Pick your couples better. Shitheads. All of you. Anyways, we're going to lose so many fans.
Right? They're like, fuck it. These guys transgressed against The Office. They're fucking dead to me.
What was I talking about? Right. How I Met Your Mother. But that's what drew me to the show. It was a little bit funny. It had its serious moments. But all of it sort of related to, the humanity of growing up with people you cared about and social dynamics and familial dynamics. And it sort of had that, again, what you kind of just drove home, the sense that at the end of the day, it's all going to work out. Kids, I bought this house and the house was a piece of shit and there were rats and, the guy who came in to appraise it and inspect it told me to fucking run before the roof caved in. But as you know, kids, that's the house we're sitting in right now. It's that sense of everything doesn't have to start out okay for it to find its way to being okay in the end. And as someone like you or me, who sort of is like, well, I've got $2,000 in my pocket, time to move to Boston. It kind of makes you feel a little bit better that the decisions you're making in life aren't so crazy. Sometimes you do need to put yourself out there on the ledge in order to find your way back home. And, obviously they took that away from me in the end. So maybe things aren't going to be okay.
But that's the point, is that the show was supposed to be your escape from your uncertain life. What you cannot control in real life is the shit that's going to happen to you and the trials and tribulations you are going to face. But you know that in the show, your best buddies are always going to meet at McLaren's, which is the bar. They're going to sit in their same booth. They're going to make their usual jokes and japes, and Barney's going to sexually harass a waitress. And we're all going to laugh and laugh and laugh because 2013 was a different time. And nothing bad happens. Nothing bad ever happened to Barney. No one ever Me Too'd Barney Stinson, and they should have. They had probable cause to do so, and they didn't, because this is a fantasy world that is not the real one. So why are you bringing death and destitution and taxes and disgusting stuff into this ending and making me very aware of my own mortality and the high probability, because of my dog face and my bad attitude, that I'm going to die alone in a rented apartment in Reseda.
Let's talk more about your dog face. Anyway.
Oh, no.
Let's shift. No, but I think that's for all the reasons that I loved the show and then became so disappointed with it, because especially by the time you get by the time you've watched season 1 to season 3 or 4, you're sitting there going, I can't wait to see who this is and what kind of dynamic this is. And, you know what kind of person Ted is. So even if, again, the mother isn't quite your type, it was Kristen Milioti. She better be your type.
We got to talk about that, dude.
She's delightful. She's not, gorgeous. Anyways, I could talk for hours. But by the time you see that dynamic, you sit there and see all the reasons it works, and then they just take it away.
That was the other thing. I mean, you just hit on it, which is they also made the mistake of casting the most awesome woman in the universe as the mother.
Yeah.
And giving her a whole episode where she acts the shit out of it and you fall in love with her. It's one of those things where you feel like a fucking idiot because you're sitting there watching it and you go, I know she's not a real person, but I am projecting very complicated feelings onto Kristen Milioti right now. And
she had me. The moment she played that ukulele and sang that song, I fell in love.
Le'Veon Rose.
Yeah, fell in love. I was talking to a friend. I was like, oh, it's so beautiful. And they were like, I don't really like that song. I was like, you shut your fucking mouth and get out of my apartment.
Don't quote Dickens in my apartment.
It's just, it's one of those things that it kind of reminded me when I walked out of the theater after watching Star Wars Episode 3, which the theme was, when you love someone, you'll only end up pushing them away until you force choke them to death. So I kind of sat there and went, this reminds me of that. It's one of those things that, they spent 6 seasons letting you know that the person that you could love is right around the corner. and then maybe she's going to get hit by a bus. I don't know. Put in that effort.
Haven't met you yet. Splat.
Yeah. Those aren't the kind of themes you want in a fucking sitcom format. Period.
No, fuck no.
That's it.
It was a great concept, and they're the running back who gets to the fucking end zone and showboats and drops the ball before you made it over the line. Mm-hmm. That's a sports analogy specifically for you because I know you love them. Oh,
I'm so happy. I love the basket footballs and the basketballs. That's a sport, right? Basketball. I think I saw a movie. I think I saw a movie documentary about that. Two guys.
It was a Ken Burns documentary.
About two guys who invented basketball with huge penises.
Jesus Christ.
Let's face it, folks. These are hard times. Most of you out there are sad, drunk, and unemployed, and the rest of you just act that way. Like the time you forgot that you were on a Zoom call and started masturbating out of instinct. It wasn't your fault. You were high. My point being, you're in no condition to raise a child in this or any economy. You could tighten your belt, or you could give me your unwanted children. Hi, I'm Ronnie Shufshel, and I want your kid to join my youth militia. As the son of Christian missionaries in Uganda, it has always been my dream to lead an army of child soldiers. Not in a fucked up way. I believe in giving child soldiers the tools to be their own boss. Second to me, of course. Research has shown that kids will be the critical resource in the coming wasteland. They can be fit into tiny spaces, they don't require a lot of food, and they know how to use TikTok, which of course will be the world's bank by 2023. Trust me, your child is going to learn things at Uncle Ronnie's Boot Camp Academy that he won't learn in public school. Or the military for that matter. Look, I know no parent can put a price on their child's life. But how does 50 grand sound? Think of all the Papa Johns that buys you. And if my contacts in the State Department are to be believed, garlic butter is about to be worth its weight in gold. I'm sure you'll miss your kid, but he's going to a better place. Peruse. A lot of people have asked what I plan to do with my army of child soldiers. And to that, I say, don't ask so many questions. All of you need to know that your kids are going to live like kings and queens. Yes, queen. Will they be participating in a series of paramilitary coups? I don't have the answer to that. Is it more likely I get bored halfway through and start a fight club for babies? Look, do you want the garlic butter vaccine or not? That's what I thought. So remember, you can give your child a better life. I mean, you can't, but Ronnie Shufshel can. Give me a call at 555-8008 and ask for Lord High Commander Shufshel. And as always, liberate the Garden Mall's megaplex on Route 49.
That's a fucked up concept to think about too, is what you were talking about before. The concept of you have a soulmate out there, but what if they fucking die before you ever get a chance to meet them?
Well, I realized a long time ago, statistically speaking, there has to be somebody out there that's absolutely perfect for you in every way. And I mean, you're never going to meet that person because all the different things that come into play, time and maybe the person who was perfect for you died in 1843. You're never going to know. But, compatibly speaking, that person did exist at some point or another. They could be, hanging out in fucking the UK or India or Alaska. They could be married already. They could have gone through enough marriages that made them jaded. They could have died because the bus hit them. And so you're never going to meet that person. It's very disappointing, and it sort of plays to the settling nature of love. Don't y'all feel better at home now? And don't get me wrong, I think love is about compromise and about growing with somebody else. I think that there's a real aspect of that as well. You're never going to meet somebody and right off the bat, it's the perfect fucking thing in the world. You got to grow and you got to fight and you got to make up and you've got to, develop. I mean, we've known couples that we thought of as being as the most toxic fucking awful couple in the world sometimes. And they end up, being the happiest sometimes because
they go the distance. Yeah.
They end up taking those bad aspects about one another and helping each other solve it in a way, that makes them both healthier, more adjusted people. So I take everything that I say, with a grain of salt. I don't think that when I say that, you should assume that what I'm saying is like, you're going to meet someone's going to be the easiest thing in the world. But I'm saying that compatibility-wise, there's somebody out there for everybody, and mine is already taken. Doesn't that make me feel better?
It's a great attitude.
Yeah, I'm going to die alone. We all know this. It's okay. I've made my peace with it. Why shouldn't you?
Well, maybe not, Rory. I have potentially bombshell information on my phone for you.
Jesus Christ, what now? What
I
is
didn't
this?
even... Let's point out, too. I'm kind of ruining the magic by talking about it, but usually I have to ham-fist a segue
This
to
sounds
work
like a
my
setup for a big
agenda
fall.
into the show. What's that?
I said, this sounds like a setup for a very big fall for me. Be careful. I've been sitting by myself for over 30 days in a very smelly, sweaty room. I wish smell-o-vision existed, because all of you guys would turn it off before the show started.
Honestly, it's I get a good sense of it watching you on the other side of that monitor because everything looks jaundiced, and I know you have a really good camera. So
I actually don't. It's okay. It
was a bit. It was a bit.
You're a bit. Go on. What were you gonna say, asshole?
This might put you in a bind, Rory. But let's see if you can make it past the twist at the end here. All right.
Great. I'm glad we went from. I'm going to be alone. You go, I don't know about that. Can you see the twist coming, Rory?
Maybe not, but probably. This is an iTunes review of the podcast. 5 stars, and it says, up there with the McElroy brothers. Now, does that mean anything to you?
No. It doesn't.
They are. I had to look it up.
We're off to a great start.
They do a podcast called My Brother, and Me. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it's about. I do not know what it's about. But apparently we are just as good as this podcast that I know nothing about. It could be Stormfront Daily. I have no idea.
Now, there's one thing we need to talk about today on My Brother, and Me, and that's the Jewish conspiracy. Okay,
now,
great.
when we say brother, you understand we mean that exclusive of black people, right? We don't mean it the way they mean it.
My God.
We mean fellow whites.
Anyone who's not, Anglo-Saxon Protestant is not who we're talking about.
Not gonna happen, buddy. Ain't gonna happen. All right, so here's the review. Up there with the McElroy brothers. Yeah, that's right. I said it. Alex and Rory are up there with the good boys, which must be something their fans call them. Mm-hmm. Sounds kinky to me. The next part. I once went down a Skimbo Lounge rabbit hole for 6 hours. 6 hours. Only the McElroy brothers have kept my attention for that long. You should definitely give this podcast a listen. And here's the twist, Rory. P.S. That Rory guy can slide into my DMs anytime. Not a joke. I'm serious.
Goodness. I don't know.
Here in print for you to see.
Someone out there is making themselves a sexy, sexy mistake.
You're going to be the meat in a regret sandwich.
Have you seen the drawings that Koch does of me on the Instagram? Those are not an exaggeration. My eyes scooped out.
I wondered if anybody got that I was going for Love is Blind.
I did.
You got it.
Oh,
because
yeah.
you did the episode.
I was there. Also, I saw the picture, and I had no eyes.
Yes. Very astute of you.
2 + 2 is 4. So, well, that's nice. That's a very nice review.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I only know
Got
that.
yourself a suitor.
Oh, that makes me feel so special. I wonder what his name is.
What's the guy's name in Dumb and Dumber? Seabass?
Seabass. He's just waiting.
Eat his ass, Seabass.
Great. I'm just going to find myself in the wrong toilet stall at the wrong time of night. Someone's going to come in. Oh, it's that one boy I compared to the Macklemores. Smile like a donut.
Macklemore.
Great. Oh, well, that makes me feel a little better. That's nice.
That's nice. That was nice of that person.
That's sweet.
I don't know how they're going to find your DMs or you theirs, but
I'm out there.
They'll make it happen.
I'm out there on some social media. I must have forgotten to delete one. I think I'm still on MySpace. You never know.
Are you really?
I don't think so.
Are your top 8 intact? This is very important.
It's Tom, because I didn't have enough people.
Just 8 versions of Tom.
8 versions of Tom. Tom in a hat. Tom in a fish suit.
Tom with a mustache.
Negative image Tom.
Tom giving Tom head.
Oh, jeez. That one got deleted. It's just a big X now.
Fun while it lasted.
Yeah. That happened once Justin Timberlake took over MySpace and made it about music. No more pictures of Rory's penis on MySpace anymore, let me tell you that.
In a folder called The Old Salchiche.
And the internet was lesser for it. That's all I gotta say.
We really are living in a post-Rory's dick pic MySpace world. People use 9/11 as the line, and I don't think that's appropriate because people died in 9/11.
Yeah, no, we're living in a BPAP world, before penis and after penis. So I just want everyone to be aware now. Change your clocks, folks. Change your clocks. Also, get rid of midnight. I'm cutting it back. We're only going to 11 now. Everyone's gonna get some more time out of their day. Wait, less time. I should think about this before I talk.
How many beers have you had?
Yes.
Are these your dinner beers? Have you moved on? Did you finish your lunch beers?
I haven't. Yeah, we're a little past dinner beer, and I've headed into beer o'clock.
I really, more than anything in this
Very
world,
important
dude, if I'm being
designation.
honest, I do want you to get married and have kids because I want you to turn into the biggest dad ever who has
Get
that.
off the shed! I will not say it again.
You're going to
My
knock my
downstairs
beer
neighbors.
o'clock tin sign off the side of the shed with your horsey assing around trying to grill these brats.
You got to bring Becky to dance class. I didn't sign up for fucking dance classes. She's going to play lacrosse.
We said the boy would dance, the girl would do sports. That was the agreement.
That's the agreement, because we are woke, Carol. We are woke. Shit.
Oh, that's a great thing that reminds me too. Rory, right here, right now, I want to do something. I want to set it in stone. I'm going to go ahead and
Great.
give you credit in front of every listener. I'm going to give you credit
Oh, no.
for starting the trend of calling belligerent white women Karen.
I did that?
You
The
have been
internet's-
doing that since I've known you.
I mean, the internet's been all over that for a while, but as far back as I can remember, Karen's been a pretty great derogatory term in my repertoire. Sorry,
I met
Karens.
you in 2004, and you were using Karen as an epithet then.
Was the internet a thing back then? I got to do my maths on this one.
Yes, Rory, because that's how we all had cyber sex with each other, was on AIM.
It was back when I was going to things like funnyjunk.com.
E-Baum's world.
Just random assortments of links to other bullshit. The internet used to be so simple. Before, you would go on and literally every thread had some sort of conspiracy theory about Barack Obama. Oh, what a time to be alive.
Those are the days.
Those were the days before the racist trolls figured out that this was a way that they could spread hate and misinformation. Yeah, but don't you know that the Jews were responsible for 9/11? I don't think that's quite accurate. Fag. Oh, great. Okay, great.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can't
it's-
tell you the amount of times in like post graduating, when I graduated in 2010 till now, the number of times that I have been informed about my own sexuality online. Never anything positive. Very surprising. Gotta tell you, didn't know some things about myself until Wiener Dong 69420 told me. But boy, very informative stuff.
What kind of stuff? Like the kind of stuff you like up your butt? And
Oh God, take dealer's choice. Anything you can say, I've heard. Did you know that I'm a boomer? Apparently.
oh. Why,
that
because
I
you're
should
older
be-
than the person insulting you?
Yes, usually. I play a lot of video games, and I hear a deep voice sometimes, and those little squeaky bastards, they'll sure tell you what's what. It sure did hurt my feelings. And then you hear some mom yell in the background, "Steven, you're late for dinner!"
Whatever you say, boomer.
Yeah. Okay, boomer.
Oh,
don't
dude,
think-
she caught a lot of shit, huh?
Yeah.
That okay boomer girl.
Oh, I don't even know. What is this?
Have you seen that video? It's the
Maybe
girl
not.
in the Bernie shirt. Let's be honest. I hope she's not super young. I'm pretty sure she's like 22. I'll feel bad if she's any younger than that. But she's
I
like a
haven't seen this.
cosplayer who did. You haven't seen this?
I remember there being something about, like, I kind of heard about what you're talking about, but I don't remember really researching into it. Why don't you go ahead and lay it out for us?
Oh, it's a big simp scandal, man. A big scandal in the world of simphood.
See, online we call them incels, involuntary celibates. And a lot of them take up the designation themselves, to be honest. They see it as being like it's not my problem. It's the women who won't fuck me's problem. Which, what a twist. Gotta tell you.
They can't appreciate my gnarled troll cock, and therefore it's their problem.
Oh yeah, I gotta tell you, there are whole subreddits dedicated to these people finding one another online, and then talking about why it's everybody else's problem that they are belligerent assholes to the people who want to talk to them. It's pretty hilariously depressing stuff.
Well, and incels are actually kind of different from a simp, because incels have like a codified doctrine and like believe in something. Simps just want to get laid so fucking bad. And I have another story that dovetails
that's fair,
with
I
this.
guess. It's the differences being the people who think that they still have a chance versus the people who have decided that they don't.
They more than think they have a chance. They're like, it's a certainty that if I'm a dickhead to Chrissy Teigen online, that she is going to leave her husband and fuck my brains out.
So the people who have kind of taken upon negging, I guess, is what you're saying. Like,
It's definitely part of it.
okay, go on. Sorry, I don't mean to keep sidetracking you here.
No, I'm sidetracking myself.
Yes, you are. It's embarrassing.
The big one recently, and honestly, it kind of ties into a little something I pulled on behalf of the podcast.
Oh, God. I'm ready for this.
Well, you guys remember when I was advertising last week's pod, episode 70, Back to the Pod, with special guest Tanner, engineer Tanner.
Yep.
I did not advertise that it was Tanner. I thought I was being funny and clever.
No, you did not.
And I heavily advertised that you may have seen this person on Saturday Night Live. Because you may have. I don't know if Tanner's ever been to a taping. You may have seen him when they panned to the audience. You may
technically
have seen
accurate.
Him panhandling for crack and blowjobs outside of the studio.
Yeah, maybe we should have just said, maybe you've seen him at a local Denny's. Maybe that would have been more accurate. I don't.
You've seen him on Broadway selling oranges.
We didn't say what Broadway.
But so I wrote a check that the podcast ass couldn't cash.
I will say I noticed that we got a surprising number of visits based on that hashtag, none of which translated into listens. Shocker.
Well, now I know why, because I see why that's not a cool thing to do. Because I don't know if you've heard about this Doja Cat stuff, but you know me. I love her. I mean, absurd. What did we say a long time ago? My type of woman is absurdly proportioned women. They just have these unrealistic figures, and that
what
is
a wonderfully
Doja Cat.
Interesting way to say that.
She does not look. She looks like a man made her in a factory. So she's just all tits and hips and ass. And
this is the most woke episode of Skimbo Lounge ever.
The woke-isode. I just don't give a fuck anymore. And
I guess
so
not.
anyway, Doja Cat. She has a remix of her song Say So with Nicki Minaj. And she put out a tweet and said, to all my fans, if you get the Say So remix to hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, I will show my boobs hard. So, of course, the symptom goes fucking crazy. And when I say symptom, I mean like the kingdom of simps, the symptom. Simphood, the simp community, they go fucking crazy. And they're like, we'll listen to the shit out of us. And a lot of it is a natural phenomenon of she's a hot property, she's with Nicki Minaj, it's a fucking bop, the song's good.
Sure.
So it hits #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. So, of course, all the dudes lose their minds. Like, we are finally going to see Doja Cat titty.
She didn't think they could do it.
Greatest day of our lives. She gets on Instagram Live, and she suddenly realizes, she starts laughing. She's like, oh, shit. I forgot I have to show hard boob because you guys made the song #1. Here's the thing. You guys played yourselves. Look at you. You played yourselves. I'm not going to do that. Come on. Be better than that.
Yeah, they don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
No.
So now everybody wants to cancel Doja Cat because they feel like they were owed some titty.
What a hard discussion to have. On the one hand, you want to say you should have known better than to promise boob to an internet full of thirsty virgins. Because not only are those the kind of people who will come out and support you as hard as they can, they're also the people who will spew more vitriol than anybody else on the internet. And you just pissed them all off. So, on the one hand, fucking brilliant. I gotta tell you, brilliant. If I promise to show hard boob, will you get this video 100? I'll drop sack if this thing hits 1,000 listens. I promise. I'll put it on Instagram Live.
Oh, show him the onions, Rory.
Nobody wants to see that. Oh my god! It's like if you could dehydrate marbles, it kind of looks like what is that? I don't.
Don't lie. I bet you've got monster balls.
It's like somebody wrapped ball bearings in potato skins. What is that?
Oh boy! As Phil Leotardo on The Sopranos says, that's an image.
Yep. It's like somebody paired those up with a sad Vienna sausage. I don't understand. What is this? What am I looking? Oh God! Yep, 1,000 listens. Get going.
I'm setting that in stone. If this episode gets 1,000 plays, Rory's gonna drop sack and he's gonna show sack hole.
I'm gonna get us kicked off Instagram. That's
Yes.
great. That's fantastic.
Here for a good time, not a long time. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God, that's like the worst shit.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad now because I Doja Catted our fans. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't show pussy.
If you think this is going where you want it to, you're wrong. Well, no. But that's this thing, man. You can't, on the one hand, the internet is full of angry, responsive people who will reach out to hate fuck you with their words. I bet you that all of her emails got spammed and destroyed,
Oh, here's the twist, Rory. She got doxxed.
Mm-hmm.
They found her address and posted it on the internet.
Yeah, that doesn't shock me at all.
Can you fucking imagine?
I'm surprised she didn't get swatted. Because that's another thing that happens. That shit happens over angry games of Call of Duty, for fuck's sake. When you piss off 1,000+, think about how many of these people had to be involved to get her to #1 on the Billboard. And to be fair, it might have been the same hacker sitting there and setting up an algorithm and going, this thing's going to play over and over and over and over again. I'm sure there was a couple of those people involved, and those are the same people who doxed her. But still, regardless of that, you've got to have a lot of fucking people involved. So I'm shocked that, that was, I'm not even going to say that because getting doxxed is fucking horrible. But again, I've seen people get fucking swatted over losing games of Call of Duty. So,
well, for those unfamiliar, walk them through a swatting.
So a swatting is basically the same thing as a doxing, except that the person is good enough where they can access the dispatch of the local police unit to dispatch SWAT to a particular location under false pretenses. Now, this happens a lot, or it used to happen a lot. People would do it as a, quote, prank, bro. And they would, find the person's address through their internet savvy, because you can learn a lot of things about people based on finding their IP address and then pinging them. And so they find the person's address, then they hack into the local police dispatch, and then they dispatch a SWAT to that location under false pretenses. Those people go in and bust that fucking place down like it was something that actually needed SWAT to be there. They go in fucking hard and heavy. Now, a lot of people blame the SWAT units for that, and partially I do as well, because you would think that there would be some sort of verification process, or, you get to, this normal guy's fucking apartment. You sit there, go, we're not going to find a sweaty virgin who's really good at Call of Duty in there. We're going to find drugs or a hostage situation. But I guess you can't really not take a hostage situation seriously. But so what ends up happening is that they fucking flash and clear. They come up to the door, they boom, knock that thing in, flashbangs inside, and I don't know if you know, but flashbangs will fuck you up. A lot of people who play games and shit, you think a flashbang's going to knock your eyes and you're going to, I'm blinded for a second. A really bright light. No, that shit will fuck your eardrums up. that will make that could deafen you. It could partially blind you. There was a story about a doxing situation from a couple years ago where the flashbang ended up in a baby's crib, and that baby got some serious fucking burns. There's also another one about a guy who ended up getting swatted while he was in the shower, and they fucked that dude up royally because when they burst into his house, he didn't hear any of it because he was in the fucking shower. And so they came in and they jacked his shit up. People get shot. People get killed when this happens. Swatting is this crazy fucking thing. And always it ends up getting traced back to some dumb fucking douchebag who did it because you gotta figure after it happens they want to figure out who did it. But that's basically what swatting is. Swatting is the most angry piece of shit assholes on the internet doing the most reactionary, angry piece of shit thing they can, as far as I'm considered. I see it as being a step above doxing.
It's a step. Okay, so I was just about to ask, do you think there's a step somewhere in between doxing and swatting, or does it go from doxing to swatting?
I think doxing is a pretty scummy thing to do because it allows any crazy son of a bitch to take your address and come and harass you. And that shit can last over a long amount of time, but swatting can get you killed. Don't get me wrong, doxing can get you killed if the wrong psychopath shows up at your fucking door. But swatting is a guaranteed action from trained police officers who are coming in to put you the fuck down, with lethal means. Nobody goes into a swatting situation with fucking beanbag rounds. These are dudes that are loaded out with assault weaponry and submachine guns, things that are meant for this is a tactical response unit. It's a scary thing, I assume, to happen. And unlike in a hostage situation where that dude's sitting there waiting for that shit to happen, you're sitting there on the fucking couch and these dudes burst the fuck in and they're telling you to get the fuck down on the ground. And you as a fucking normal citizen might be sitting there going, well, I have rights and I don't understand why I need to respond. You just invaded my home. What happens if you dox a gun owner and he's on the second floor and these people, boom, burst into the fucking house? These are no-knock raids. They're not coming in and fucking announcing themselves half the time. They're coming in to fucking be a tactical response. They're moving quick and they're moving effectively. They're not trying to give you the moment to respond. That's why flashbangs are involved, So there's a way higher chance of you. There was just a story about these three plainclothes police officers who no-knock entered a home residence and shot and killed the woman who was inside. And I think they clipped the boyfriend, but they killed her because they moved in without a warrant. And they did so, and they had the wrong address. So, I mean, there's a lot you can talk about there. A, plainclothes officers, that's a big fuck up. Yeah. 2, they didn't announce themselves. B, 3, they had the wrong fucking address, like a bunch of dipshits. Different scenarios, of course, but the point being is that the reason these two people got shot was because they thought these people were home invaders and they were defending their home. So imagine if a SWAT unit shows up to you after a game of Call of Duty, you're upstairs in the shower and you hear somebody burst the fuck in. You don't quite hear them fucking yell sheriff's department or whatever the fuck there's, and you immediately go for your gun. First person through that door you take a shot at, you're fucking dead. So I would go ahead and say that it's a tier above doxing. Just in the sense that, I think a lot of pussies on the internet aren't going to do a hell of a lot with that address, except maybe send some shitty mail or,
Jesus Christ, you're going to do all of this over a set of titties. Like, the internet is full of them. Like, you could be like Templeton the Rat with cyber glue.
That's a good reference, Templeton the Rat. Charlotte. That's great. I love the Charlotte's Web reference. It makes things.
That's what it is. It's a smorgasbord.
It makes things happier for what we've been talking about. Very serious topic. When you bring Templeton the Rat into it, everyone's like, ooh, fun. So
the SWAT team kills him because he's too full to run. Yeah.
Well, you shoot rats too. I mean,
Yeah, true.
Rat lives matter. And so
usually that's me, but you did it this time.
We're going to get some emails. It's okay. But so I'm not saying any of this to downplay doxing because it's like the difference between a 9 and a 10 in my opinion. It's a really scummy, shitty thing to do. And I 100% agree with you. Jesus Christ, get a fucking life. I think the kind of people who were sitting there so thirsty over Doja Cat's tits that they needed to fucking get her to number 1 have only themselves to blame. It's like what she said. You played yourselves, which they did.
If she's like, I'm going to live stream my cult, like, I am going to get on top of a glass coffee table naked and I'm going to bend over on all fours. And I'm going to cough violently.
That's wildly specific.
I've had some time to think about my demands, and if she's listening,
just in case, cross your fingers.
Yeah, if she was like, let's scope the inside of my butthole, then like maybe people can have an excuse to.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Not to dox, to be upset when it's taken away from them.
Look,
Like,
everybody has the right to be upset about anything.
People
have the right to be upset about anything. I can be upset if I go to the local supermarket and they're like, I'm sorry, we're out of the kind of chicken you like. Oh, I'm upset. That doesn't mean I'm going to firebomb the supermarket.
Are you going to be like one of those assholes from Mashpee, Massachusetts, who called the 17-year-old girl a cunt at the ice cream store?
I couldn't believe that shit. I couldn't believe.
Fuck, man.
Fill them in if they don't know at home what this is specifically about, because this ice cream. It's about ice cream.
That's pretty much all it is, man. And you fill in what I don't get here. But essentially, this ice cream store reopened in Massachusetts when social distancing guidelines or when businesses were allowed to reopen, but within social distancing guidelines. So they set up a system where you place your order ahead of time so that dumb fucks don't come and mob the place. But of course, dumb fucks came and mobbed the place.
And they got mad at the service.
They couldn't get a triple ripple dipple cone. They freaked the fuck out at the teenage staff. And this one 17-year-old girl, the guy was like, she got called things you don't call guys in the military. Like, what the fuck? They're calling her a little cunt and stuff because they weren't
17 years old.
Yeah, their fat faces stuffed fast enough. And it's like, this is why we want to open the fucking country back up. I get it. The economy is suffering. But Jesus Christ, if you guys are going to act like this,
yeah,
I don't know. I can't make threats. I'm in no position.
Well, it's a scary time in America right now. It really is, because you're seeing sort of the depths of like human irresponsibility right now. There's so many people out there in so many different states, larger swaths depending on what state, who are sitting there going, we can be responsible. This is tyranny. I don't think you know what tyranny really is, motherfucker, if you're super upset about having to hang out at home playing PlayStation for 30 days. I think it's pretty fucking reasonable, and I think that it would have been more reasonable if we had closed earlier, because we'd probably all be doing a lot better by now. But what's going to end up happening is we're going to see a sincere fucking rebound in this thing if we open too early and we don't do it responsibly. So everyone's trying to do this sort of trickle opening so that we can all gauge whether or not everything's okay. And then we can go from there. But we can't even do that because, again, we're seeing certain states sitting there with people who are like, I'm so mad, I'm going to storm the state building. I'm going to storm, I'm going to go and let legislators know how I feel about it, to the point where legislators need to be covered by armed gunmen. I think that's a little bit far. Call me crazy. But then you're also seeing those same protesters wearing fucking masks.
Mm-hmm.
So
and
is it
they're the
serious
same
or is
people
it?
that say, Blue lives matter, until you're screaming in a cop's face without a mask on.
Yeah. Because he's keeping you out of the fucking state building. Because, I don't know, it looks like there's an angry mob that's armed out front. Maybe you should let him do his fucking job. I don't know. I think that it's funny, though, that everyone talks about how we're going to be so responsible, and yet in the states where you see a lot of people out, like New York City, it doesn't seem to be doing much better. I'm a little nervous about all that. And again, I see a lot of people. I feel like we talked about this on a previous podcast, but I see a lot of people online talking about how they wish that we would take the Swedish model of personal responsibility into play. And I sit there and go, okay, America, even when we didn't adopt that quote personal responsibility, we have a 2,000 plus. Yeah, I think that's deaths per million. And they have something like 1,500. It's not a hell of a lot better. And the local countries near them, their neighboring countries, have like 500 less deaths than them. So even when you're responsible, people are still dying. But that's not to say that when you're less responsible, that more people aren't dying, because they are. So,
also, what's the population
density
of? What's the population of Sweden and the population density, and what are all these other it's
They're
not
good
directly
questions.
comparable, and these
And I'm not
fuckers
sure.
don't understand that.
See, that's why I always look at the per capita response, the number per million, because you can go ahead and you can look at those numbers and see that, oh, well, shocker, Sweden isn't doing so fucking great. They're not doing as bad as America. But then again, they're not run by our wonderful government right now.
Daddy Trump.
Good old Daddy Trump. Just so disappointing. I don't want to get too into politics, but I want to get off the fucking ride sometimes. And by that, I mean
too.
all year. I think it's funny, and I just want to bring this up. I remember in 2018, everyone's like, can't get much worse than that. And then 2019 happened. Everyone was like, Jesus Christ, 2020 is going to be our year. And everyone's like, wouldn't it be nice to go back to 2018? Wouldn't that be great?
Can we please?
Can we please go back to that when the only thing we were worried about was lots and lots of school shootings? And
when
now,
school shootings are simpler times.
Seriously,
You
it's
know
a
you have a
scary
fucking
fucking
problem.
precedent. It's a scary precedent to set, man. And we're there right now. When people are looking back at the last 2 to 3 years nostalgically, I don't know where that kind of mentality comes from. Personally, I want to go back to 1994. Salt and pepper was a thing. No.
What a man indeed.
What a day for 90s hip hop. That's where I want to go back. Can't we just all go back to the 1990s, you guys? I think we all appreciate that. Look at the fun shirts they were wearing. And those cups with like the blue zigzag kind of thing on them. Everyone's using styrofoam.
You see one
We
of those,
didn't
you
know.
get real happy.
Back in the day, everyone was, getting smoothies and heading down to the local 7-Eleven for an icy. What fun.
Did you guys watch Seinfeld last night? That Kramer. What a character.
Oh, I went down and got an ice cream at my local store, and I did not call the person serving me a cunt. What a fun time it was.
Was amazing. Took me 7 minutes to get a shaved ice, but I was calm about it. I was cool.
I realized that was just somebody working for minimum wage, and I shouldn't yell at them.
This is a human being, not a dog that I don't like.
I'm just kidding. Doesn't mean that in the 90s we were morally responsible either. We were terrible people then, too. Oh.
Talk to a guy named Muammar Gaddafi. Oh, that's right. You can't because
can't.
he's dead.
Knife up the butt. That's a hard way to go, man.
Yikes.
That's, way to bring it to a dark place.
Yeah.
As if the rest of this was so cheery.
Well, I guess
Swatting.
we'll end it here on the knife butt.
Is that it? Are we at time?
Oh, we have been talking for an hour. It wouldn't be the worst time to call it a day.
Nah, that's okay. This is a nice little What do we want to plug? What we got going on our next pod? We're trying to hop.
Go for it.
We're trying to hop and do 2 a week now, just because we got the time to do it, and not like we're gonna have any work anytime soon. Fun fact: Goldman Sachs just projected that they think employment's gonna hit about 25% in the next couple of months. So everyone, get ready for that 1 in 4 unemployed. Won't that be spectacular? But on a brighter note, we'll be having a good friend of the pod, Mr. Bobby Gaglini on Friday, which will be, I don't know when it'll come out. This is coming out Friday, I assume, so Monday. He'll be on, and he's one of our friends from LA, where we'll be talking a little bit more about the West Coast perspective, probably on some of this stuff going on, as well as he's got a couple of projects that he's working on, and he's a fellow entertainer. He's going to have some fun stories, and also he's just as weird as we are. So get ready for some random bullshit.
He's a delightful specimen. I want to ask him about the Magic Castle. I want to ask him about Epstein's Island. I just want to know about it all.
Everything. Just everything. He's got the answers for all of us. To all your burning questions. All of them. Seriously. Send us some questions and we'll ask him.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Use the hotline, the Skimbo hotline, Skimbo Lounge at gmail.com. You can send us stories, tips, suggestions, sexually suggestive photos. I'm not soliciting them. I'm just saying you can do it.
Just a suggestion.
So inclined.
Just a suggestion. You want us to do anything?
I'm just letting you know what's possible. Doja Cat, if you are listening, I am interested in the results of your latest gynecological visit. And if you have cell phone footage, you can send it.
Didn't you read the review from earlier? Clearly she's into me. Back off.
Do you know how fucking mad I will be if it is Doja Cat and she's like, I gotta have that Rory cock and I gotta have it now.
That Vienna sausage, that's great.
The other one sounds fat.
And angry potato skins. Anyways.
All right. Well, we'll call it a day here. Thank you for joining us once again. And until next time, thank you. Go fuck yourselves. And good night.